fucking intro, let's go.
What do we have here?
It's Castle Grayskull.
In the 80s, Mattel had a simple idea: to launch a toy line with the help of a cartoon. That cartoon and that toy line captured the zeitgeist of 80s babies everywhere. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was big. At one point, He-Man was outselling Barbie. The Masters of the Universe were so big that Canon Films optioned the film rights for a notoriously bad film. It's 2021, and now there's a more adult version of Masters of the Universe on Netflix with one of the best edited trailers I've ever seen in my life. So how is everyone reacting to this?
It is ma'am. That's right. It is he, ma'am. That's what this show is all about. It is the Tila show. All of the rumors were 100% spot on. Clownfish TV deserves an apology. They're never going to get that apology. And critics love it because critics love emasculating male alpha characters. There's very few left in our youth, in our male youth lore that haven't been disparaged.
For this entire show is that Tila can do no wrong. She is the bestest ever. Hashtag Slay Queen. Hashtag the Force is female. And all of the men in the show are the worst fucking scumbags that ever set foot on the face of Eternia or the entire universe.
Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Oh, how I've been waiting to do a video on toxic fandom. Thank you, Masters of the Universe. Let's go. You guys are fully aware that He-Man was mostly known as a meme for the past decade, right? Furthermore, you're fully aware that Kevin Smith made a lesbian a central character in Chasing Amy at a time when gay people were frowned upon, explaining the very slight progressive bend of the show, right? You're also fully aware that Kevin Smith used Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back to call out toxic internet fandom. People like you, right? Also, you're fully aware that the name He-Man was nowhere near the title of Masters of the Universe Revelation, right? Also, you're fully aware that Part 2 is going to restore the status quo because of entitled man-children like you, right? No, really. Kevin Smith just revealed that, and the IMDb page explicitly states that Chris Wood is on the hook for 8 episodes out of 10. How can anyone be against this fantastic show? How can you sit here with this gorgeous fucking animation and go, this show sucks because it's about Tila? Netflix spared no expense. I'm blown away by the risks this show took. I'm blown away by this fantastic voice cast. So with this video, I'm going to break down and roast every alt-right talking point. So in order for me to talk about this, I am going to go into heavy spoilers for Part 1 of Masters of the Universe Revelation, starting off with an extremely controversial opinion. How dare Kevin Smith kill off He-Man and Skeletor in the pilot? He-Man gets killed off in the first episode, to which I say,
Good.
if you are going to do something that ballsy, you need to pay it off. It actually does, as He-Man's death not only sends ripples through Eternia, but profoundly affects Tila and sets up an insanely badass Part 2. In the pilot episode, He-Man sacrifices himself to ensure the safety of Eternia. The next 4 episodes that follow deal in the aftermath of this event, in which it is a post-apocalyptic wasteland run by Triclops leading a technology-obsessed cult. Tila is now a mercenary who was summoned to keep the magic of Eternia alive. But, it's He-Man, not He-Woman! The alt-right are a bunch of fucking snowflakes over a fucking cartoon that is okay at best. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. Masters of the Universe was a cartoon designed with the sole purpose of selling toys!
We were psychological terrorists, I think, with He-Man, because I Have the Power came right out of the research. Mark Ellis would say we burned it into their little pea brains.
So let's get to the next alt-right talking point. Women! So let's talk about Tila. Furthermore, Tila's haircut indicates this is SJW propaganda. Not today, Ian! Tila finds out that Prince Adam was He-Man and quits. That's a heavy revelation to somebody. Someone that she is extremely close with is this superhero. In the aftermath, she becomes a mercenary with Andra, an entirely new character who is a tech expert. Tila's story arc involves her processing this grief while trying to find her own identity. She's not exactly this man-hater the alt-right makes her out to be, as she goes to Duncan, her adoptive father, to ask him to forge the power sword. However, he sends Roboto in his place, fearing he might be executed. If this were what the alt-right thinks this show is, Duncan would be a drooling dumbass, and Tila would go, "Fine, I'll forge the power sword myself." But in the act of fairness, let's meet these YouTubers halfway. That's not to say that political correctness in films or television can't be irritating. I famously burned my Ghostbusters 2016 ticket stub in anger because they just cynically rehashed the first film with female characters. Black Christmas 2019 answered the question of what if Twitter became sentient and wrote a screenplay. And I roasted that movie as the filmmakers felt they needed to hold your hand through the mind-blowing revelation of men are bad, while blissfully ignoring the fact that the 1974 original vilified the man who wanted his girlfriend to get an abortion. While I do feel that there should be a discussion around darker-skinned people getting prominent roles, I felt the backlash towards In the Heights was completely undeserved. Look, I watched Music earlier this year, a film that offends autistic people of all races, religions, and creeds. Lin-Manuel Miranda and John M. Chu set off to make a genuinely sincere film that celebrates Latin culture across the board. Fighting colorism with colorism isn't a good idea. So with all that said, I only make one video on a film or TV show I don't like and move on. I don't make 20 of these videos a week to chase clicks like most of these YouTubers do. Hey, Geeks and Gamers, that Star Wars girl, the quartering. Is there a scene like this in any one of these episodes?
About to say all this shit about men and we're supposed to just sit here and take it.
Because men have all the power.
Not all men have power.
Did you just not all men me?
Or this?
Those bad guys still in there somewhere.
Oh! Or this clip, which I swear to God I did not edit. All three of those clips spell out their politics for you because they think you're too stupid to understand the subtext. Masters of the Universe Revelation has zero of that. I'm gonna say it. Tila is a fantastic character in Masters of the Universe Revelation. By focusing on characters not named He-Man and Skeletor, it makes for a far more interesting show. I know the examples of strong women the alt-right are going to quote at me, so let's break those down. But Ripley and Aliens! If Aliens dropped right now, you assholes would be calling it SJW propaganda. The most memorable scene from any male character in that film is this.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now?
But Alita! I've gone on record saying that I loved Alita Battle Angel. In fact, it was in my top 10 favorite films of 2019. But there's one fatal flaw to Alita Battle Angel. The forced love interest, in which Alita literally says this, without a trace of irony.
I'd give you my heart. Take it.
But Sarah Connor! Sarah Connor's character arc involves her having sex with Kyle Reese to give birth to John Connor. In the aftermath, she goes insane. So let's talk about Evil Lynn, who by far and away has the most interesting character arc of the show. Evil Lynn is facing a moral dilemma and quickly bonds with Orko. It's all because of Lena Headey's A+ performance of this character that I feel sympathy for her. Now I want to see her play Evil Lynn in live action. She had no idea that Skeletor was hiding in that scepter. You can feel the conflict as Skeletor becomes Skelegod, as she and Beastman reluctantly take his side. This is why I said focusing on characters not named He-Man and Skeletor makes this a far more interesting show. While we're on this subject, I want to talk about Orko and Evil Lynn. I love the pairing of these two. It's such an unlikely pairing, but the best scene in this show is when Orko tells Evil Lynn that he was an outcast, which then leads to Orko going out like a fucking pimp. Not gonna lie to you, when Evil Lynn put her helmet on Orko's grave, I thought that was a wonderful moment. But apparently, Kevin Smith hates He-Man! Caught in 4K, huh? Let me pull up the actual episode of Comic Book Men this is from.
I have no love for He-Man. I know,
but I have no love for He-Man either, but he's got a place in the world in a comic book store. You can't make fun of somebody else's interest. You're like, He-Man's stupid. I like Batman.
Play that again. The second part specifically.
But he's got a place in the world in a comic book store. But he's got a place in the world in a comic book store.
But he's got a place in the world in a comic book store.
Play the last part, because that's extremely important.
You can't make fun of somebody else's interest. You're like, He-Man's stupid. I like Batman.
Context! Context!
I also love how the fucking alt-right leaves that last part out specifically, just so they think they have a win. I gotta applaud these alt-right YouTubers for not sending Ming Chen death threats. Because this is Ming Chen prior to that conversation.
How come?
It's He-Man. You like He-Man?
There's some things I like about it. There's a lot of cool stuff in that cartoon.
Like what?
Skeletor.
What? And look at the character's name, like He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Ram-Man.
Kevin Smith still said He-Man had a place in the world. If you actually took the time to watch the Q&A instead of hitting the dislike button, he did explicitly state that he wasn't a fan. And I prefer that honesty.
I was not like a hardcore, like, fuck, I love this shit. You know, I made fun of it a lot because I was 13 years old and I was like, this is for babies. They don't even fight. Nobody gets stabbed. But I watched every episode because back then there was nothing on TV. We didn't have cable. We didn't have the fucking internet. So you watched what was on. So I watched every episode of Masters of the Universe.
That is my exact opinion on Captain Marvel. I don't like Captain Marvel, but I get why she has a place in the MCU. If Kevin Feige dropped a truckload of money on my driveway and asked me to write Captain Marvel free, I would. Furthermore, Kevin Smith's brand now is smoking copious amounts of pot and writing whatever comes to mind, as he explicitly states in his Q&A video.
Perhaps I'm just a 51-year-old man who, for about 25 years of his life, referred to The Empire Strikes Back, one of his favorite films ever made, as a 1979 motion picture. I smoke a lot of weed, kids. Don't crush my nuts if I say 1981 versus 1983.
Even still, allow me to give you some examples of filmmakers who didn't like the source material and turned in great movies. Tim Burton was no fan of the comic books at the time of filming Batman 89. However, he proved that you could take a superhero movie seriously. The end result was a cultural juggernaut and the biggest blockbuster in 1989. Nicholas Meyer signed on to direct Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan after coming off of his success with Time After Time. There was also one teensy little issue. He hated Star Trek and never saw an episode. But he felt that Star Trek could be improved upon. The end result is the film that many Trekkies have at their #1 spot that even non-Star Trek fans love, even with the backlash of killing Spock in 1982. Let me reiterate, a man who hated Star Trek gave Captain Kirk his most iconic line. Ridley Scott felt Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was too dense of a book to adapt, so instead he brought in Hampton Fancher and David Peoples to write the screenplay for Blade Runner while Ridley Scott created the world. The end result was a film that gave birth to cyberpunk aesthetics and became a beloved film over time. I do buy the fact that Kevin Smith is a casual fan of He-Man. He knows enough about the lore to put his own spin on it. This is not made to be hateful. He's trying to focus on other characters. Compare this to the Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer, in which Sony is cynically riding on the coattails of the MCU, doubling down on the sitcom humor, which doesn't jibe when you bring fucking Carnage into the picture. Kevin Smith basically said He-Man can be improved upon, much like Nicholas Meyer did before him. Kevin Smith described Masters of the Universe as way metal. I don't know about you, but killing off He-Man and Skeletor in the first episode is totally fucking metal. It seems the internet wants Journey's greatest hits, whereas Kevin Smith gave us Slayer's Reign in Blood. The shock to the system Masters of the Universe so desperately needed. Shit. That's the Clownfish tweet. Here we go. Clownfish TV is owed an apology! On March 11, 2020, the Clownfish TV Twitter cited an insider on the show that Tila would have a girlfriend and would be the main character. Smith called them out directly with the aforementioned way metal tweet. On May 28, 2020, Clownfish TV made a video in which Screen Rant somewhat confirmed this information that Tila would be the main character. I'm sure this will be a level-headed discussion.
Tila's got reddish hair. Well, that's a problem. Now she's no longer going to be probably white, or she is. That's what explains the girlfriend, because we have to give as many diversity points as we can to Tila, because she is now going to be the hero of the show.
Are you shitting me? These white supremacist assholes deserve an apology? There are people really simping over a YouTube channel with the word clown in the title, who just made an overtly racist statement. Kevin Smith is in the right to tweet what he did. In part 1, Tila and Andra are in no way a couple on the show. If there is sexual chemistry between them, then I didn't feel it. As I already stated, He-Man's death profoundly affects Eternia as he failed to defeat Skeletor and technology has taken over. Tila remembers He-Man with reverence on the show.
It would be rude not to share.
So yes, Kevin Smith is right. The show is 100% about He-Man. Mattel produces this show. Do you think Mattel is going to let Kevin goddamn Smith kill off He-Man? Now let's go to Clownfish's actual review of the show, where they have clearly made up their minds and they are not changing their opinion for anything.
Tell me, literally she finds out he's Adam as he dies, okay? And then she's so ass mad about it that she decides she's going to be the captain of the guard and she's going to walk away from everyone because they all lied to her, because they didn't tell her.
Tila had every right to be angry, especially as she was being promoted to Man-at-Arms. Her adopted father, or Prince Adam, could have told her that. I don't fucking blame her. If you swapped Man-at-Arms out for Tila, the internet wouldn't be throwing temper tantrums about this show like fucking toddlers. I was 7 years old when I saw Optimus Prime die in Transformers the movie on VHS and was more mature than these alt-right man-children with YouTube channels.
With Merman.
He needs his glug-glug voice.
He's just like, Merman. He's not even doing the, hey, man.
So you guys just want pandering fan service over motherfucking Batman. You guys are just nitpicking at this point.
I mean, basically, most of the men in the show, most of the heroes, and even the good guys, they turn into, pussified. They pussified them, killed them, or they're assholes.
You know what? Fuck it. This is a whole other segment. Men are totally sidelined for the PC agenda! Really?
Anyone who threatens her makes an enemy of me.
Really?
We need you to reforge the Sword of Power. It's the Sorceress, Dad. She's dying. She only has Cringer to protect her.
There's a gate within my tower that issues to the outskirts of the castle in your dimension. I will take you there.
Man, the butthurt is so strong with the alt-right that you need gallon tubs of Preparation H. When we see Prince Adam, he chose to stay in that form instead of He-Man, just for those alt-right assholes getting triggered over He-Man being called Flea-Man. That is in character with He-Man. If this were what the alt-right thinks this show is, he would have stayed in his He-Man form and he would be Hulk levels of stupid. And I love how Clownfish put the qualifier of dead because it didn't fit their narrative of men being assholes when King Grayskull himself helps them out. Well, the review said it focuses on Teela, so it automatically sucks! Really? You motherfuckers suddenly and immediately care about reviews? I thought Rotten Tomatoes sucked because it's run by SJWs! Of course, these same fucking people think the website Rotten Tomatoes is a sentient film critic and not a review aggregator like it is! It was because Captain Marvel got good reviews that you alt-right man-children decided to review Bond Captain Marvel before it came out, to which Rotten Tomatoes responded by overhauling its audience rating system. Speaking of Captain Marvel, go woke get broke! This is something alt-right YouTubers love to throw around just to add a teensy bit of racism and misogyny to their argument. Also, there's one tiny problem with this hypothesis in regards to Masters of the Universe Revelation. The original cartoon was woke as fuck! In more ways than one, too, as the show had females on their writing staffs, included minorities on the TV show, and had mostly women directing these episodes. Oh, and producer/voiceover artist/co-creator Lou Scheimer's father punched Hitler in the face in the 1920s, before it was cool to hate Hitler. Nobody was clamoring for a Charlie's Angels movie. Did you know that there was a Charlie's Angels show released 10 years ago that crashed and burned? No, you didn't. Nobody was clamoring for a Terminator sequel, even if James Cameron was involved and was R-rated, because each post-T2 sequel sucked. Captain Marvel still cracked the top 5 in overall box office sales in 2019. Solo, the only Disney Star Wars movie with a straight white male in a leading role, made an embarrassing $393.2 million at the box office. So that racist and misogynistic theory can be easily debunked. If you so-called true fans remember the original show, the show always ended with a moral that tied into the plot of the episode, just to make sure kids were getting educated so mommy and daddy could comfortably whip out their credit cards and buy the toys. Here's one that people on the internet should take heed to.
In today's story, Orko found out how important it is to have patience.
I know I'm in the minority here, but I can't sit here and watch the internet trash part 1 of a 2-part show. I hope Kevin Smith buys a bunch of plane tickets and kicks some ass. This show made me genuinely interested in He-Man, so quit watching channels with videos such as Woke Olympics Tank and set 33-year low in viewership. Get woke, go broke! Or, NPCs don't like facts. Well, neither do you guys. If you are a true fan, you want Masters of the Universe to evolve, not stay the same. He-Man defeated Skeletor in 130 fucking episodes. There's gonna be a kiddie cartoon for you guys coming soon that'll be more your speed. Look at The Rise of Skywalker as a prime example of a franchise caving to toxic fandom. It's because of The Last Jedi backlash that The Rise of Skywalker became god-awful, pandering fan service. If you get the chance, read Colin Trevorrow's Duel of the Fates script. We could have had an awesome, albeit slightly flawed conclusion to Star Wars, but no! J.J. Abrams had to nonsensically restore the status fucking quo because you assholes bullied an Asian actress you didn't like off of social media! In fact, I feel it wildly appropriate that I close with Teela teaching the alt-right a lesson.
In today's adventure, we saw what happens when we make up our minds about something before we have the facts. It's called jumping to conclusions, and anyone who does that will usually find that the conclusion is wrong.
Be sure to dislike, send me death threats, call me an SJW cuck to appease the YouTube algorithm, and until then, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe are
fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?